the real hook, though, the best, for me, the main reason why I'm here and the main reason why I'm so excited about this is really the decentralized metaverse that 6529 and team are building.
The broad thesis for the fund is that, in a world that's increasingly going digital, again, do you want these assets to belong on a Facebook or Google server, or do you want them on a sovereign decentralized chain? And so I think, for the most part, people are going to follow the latter. There's difficulty in that. There's pure sovereignty. There's these things that will be ironed out. And so a lot of our fund investments are also, or 10% of our fund is to back infrastructure in this space on NFT onboarding, et cetera. Web3 onboarding, right? So infrastructure that could bring 100 million, a billion users to the open metaverse is kind of like our calling. But so we think that in a world where crypto's market cap is $1 trillion and fungibles are 99% of that and non-fungibles are 1%, we think that we kind of want to take that trading pair on the non-fungible side, where a lot of the world's the intangibles in the NASDAQ balance sheet are in the several trillions. So we think a lot of intangible value will be represented through tokens. And in a world where that exists, there's going to be these power law sized returns, similar to tech and similar to art, where there's power laws at the Louvre. You go to see the Mona Lisa, and where there's power laws in online search or short messaging service, there is going to be power law returns in essentially owning these tokens, these grail assets, these early artifacts of this movement, right? As so as we onboard kind of not all traditional finance, but the efficient parts, and as we onboard a lot of things into ERC 721 standard or 720, the ability to own these non-fungibles is we see that there could be outsized returns in this 1% of crypto market cap trade against the rest of it. And then we think obviously in a 10-year time frame, everything is going to, crypto is going to eat a lot of the global balance sheet. And so that's kind of the thesis.
One of the main points Raul has made about, the tokenization of intangibles on corporate balance sheets. And it's interesting to hear you guys use it as part of the pitch. Bats, did you want to add something to what AC said?
Yeah, I would say just to add to this, the basic pitch is as follows. The Louvre has 35,000 works on display at any given time. The Louvre owns 380,000 works. The Louvre is perhaps the greatest museum on planet Earth, or one of them. And yet, if you ask a normal person to name how many pieces do you know at the Louvre, maybe 2, sometimes 3. Mona Lisa, Venus de Milo, and most people tend to get stuck there. And the point of the story is that power laws exist in art into a very, very, very extreme case. If you combine that with meme culture and this sort of culture of being able, spreading the word on the internet rather than word of mouth, it becomes extraordinarily powerful. So the way that think about things that as memes today. For example, "Make America Great Again" is a meme. "Just Do It" by Nike is a meme. Everybody knows those. If you can spread that via the internet and combine that with the power laws in art, like I said, it becomes very powerful. So the basic pitch for the fund is that we believe, a very short amount of time to try to acquire the top pieces that we believe will exhibit power laws over time. And if we're successful at it, I'm not saying we will be, but if we're successful at it, the return profile of a fund like this could be quite dramatic. I think it's still TBD. I think every day that goes by, even in a bear market, validates the thesis. I mean, there's no question digital art is art, right? I mean, people tend to say, well, it's NFTs. And I feel like, it was funny. I saw last week Reddit onboarded 3 million wallets to NFTs by not calling them NFTs. They called them digital objects. But, the general public hates the term NFTs. But if you set that aside for a moment, digital art and digital objects are very, very valuable. They will be very valuable to you in your life as life goes on. And digital art is unquestionably art. Blockchain happened to come along and turn digital art into something that could be validated as, owned, and, when was it created, and so on and so forth. But digital art has always been a thing. It just happened to find blockchain along the way. So I don't think there's any question that digital art is A, art, and B, going to be incredibly valuable in the future. I think the only question in my mind is, how does that manifest itself? Which artists rise to the top? What kind of art will people prefer versus others? Generative art, I think, is a spectacular use case for the digital art medium and NFTs. So we spend a lot of time there. It's still a lot. It's so early days. A lot of it's DVD, but the end to me is not uncertain whatsoever. We are heading towards a very dramatic upswing for the digital world.
That actually leads me to my next question, which is drawing on your experience managing funds and hedge funds in the traditional finance world. What are the parallels to your investment committee? Like, how do you guys choose those artists who you think are gonna exhibit those power laws? Give us a little insight into what that boardroom meeting is like when you guys are deciding who you're gonna collect, how much to pay for them, and how you're gonna execute those trades.
I remember living through 2008, and every single day you would wake up and the market was a roller coaster. I remember driving along the highway and seeing, again, 2008, I had a really good year. I was driving along the highway, I'd see somebody mowing the grass and thinking, I wish I were that guy. That's how crazy it was. That's the kind of environment we were in. And there are days, I have to tell you, in this space where I wake up and I think the exact same thing. It is insane. It is, running a fund on steroids, with too many cups of caffeine and cocaine. I don't know. I've never seen anything like this. This is insanity. And it's 24/7. Blockchains don't shut down on Christmas and New Year's. I'm sorry, but you've got to be on your game. So, that's sort of the general backdrop. For us, I don't think, and this is something that I've practiced my entire career. I'm not, and we're not going to be the people that go on a mission of discovery trying to figure out who the next Beeple or who the next, Van Gogh or who the next, that's, I kind of am hesitant to say this, but I don't have a strong art background. This is not I'm not going to be the person that goes and curates the next digital museum in Dubai. That's not who I am. But what I can do is I listen to markets, and what this team does really well, and I would throw AC very much in this group. We listen to the market. We see where trends are emerging. We try and not outsmart what the market is doing. Now, it turns out this market does a lot of really stupid things, so we have to be extraordinarily thoughtful about how we approach it. And we are. We spend an unbelievable amount of time on price and on which artists and which pieces. But that being said, it is not a mystery to me who are likely of the top 5 greatest selling artists right now on the web. You can go find them. Of that group, that is the highest probability group to exhibit power laws over time. So we're going to start there and start thinking about, what's the right price for art in that group. So AC, I don't know if you want to add that, but go ahead.
It's hard to dispute anything you said or add much more color, because it was I think that is how we operate. I think that is kind of the gift of having 6x9 and Batsoupyum kind of as operators now, fund operators in a very inefficient space so $1 trillion market cap on total crypto, and I don't know, 10 billion on NFTs if it's 1% of the total crypto market cap. So I think it's there's a serious advantage to the way that we're operating given our partner backgrounds. And again, we do have curators. We do use we'll contract some curators and help us on the artistic approach of things, and kind of So we do get the like feedback loop kind of what has worked in the past and what has scaled and kind of what crypto does. But I happen to agree with like managing his portfolio the way that Batsoup has kind of done and led us, like him in 6529. Let me end it there. I think he answered that pretty perfectly.
I would say the only thing I would add is that we talk to each other obviously about every single investment. This is not a hey, I really want to buy a punk, I'm going to go buy it. Like, you got to bring your A game. I mean, we're not going to sit here and be like, oh yeah, that's a really good idea. Well, we should really go and spend, invest LP money buying a punk that they can just go out and do themselves. Like, I can go buy a punk right now. Like, why do I need 6529's team to do that? So every single investment is highly scrutinized. I'm sure AC is sick of me jumping down his throat about everything that happens at the fund, but that's why we're here. We're not here to that's how you generate alpha. We're not here to I can go market buy anything. Why would I do that? You really have to I spent 20 years on Wall Street, or however many years it was, and I'm working harder now than I ever worked in my 20 years on Wall Street, right? It's like there's an unbelievable amount of effort put forth to try and find the right things and invest in the right things. But I think it's paying off.
We hope you enjoyed the video. At Real Vision, we help you understand the complex world of finance, business, and the global economy with in-depth analysis from real experts. Join the revolution at realvision.com.